welcome to Economic Lifelines Nigeria. I'm Esther Ubodaga. In today's program, we'll delve into Nigeria's transportation industry, unpacking some of the changes and opportunities in the sector. Infrastructure is central to Africa's growth, and demand is soaring. Research bodies estimate the continent needs to spend close to a massive $100 billion each year on new investment in order to catch up to developed economies. But the reality is that governments are spending less than half of this, just $45 billion a year. As African governments develop key infrastructures such as power and ICT, a well-developed transport sector is crucial. However, due to the prevailing transport infrastructure deficit on the continent, inadequate transport facilities is often the norm rather than the exception. In Nigeria, for example, lack of transport infrastructure is regarded as one of the top impediments to growth. With the rebased GDP, the sector now contributes just 1.1% to overall economic growth, according to the National Bureau of Statistics.
To properly understand the level of infrastructure development, especially in the transportation sector, it will be apt to put into context the development of the country in the last 50 years. We've had too many years of military dictatorship and governance misrule that actually accounts for a lot of deficits in infrastructure development, especially in the transportation sector. We also need to understand that we have a city with a huge population and rural-urban drift, that people move from other parts of the country in large quantity into the state and the city of Lagos on a daily basis. So regardless of how fast we've worked in the last 15 years in upgrading the infrastructure, it fast gets into a state of needing to do more. So what you have is that there has been a lot of improvement. We have moved from a monolithic mode of moving transport to a multimodal system.
It is easy to say that the state we have in Nigeria is totally below standard. Let me just not use very hard word. But because the point is that if you look at it, most of the transportation means, they're not really that very efficient. Yeah, granted that we moved a lot more by road, right, rather than by any other means. But even the roads is really still below standard to a large extent, kind of move well. Yeah, we have the road, we have the aviation, the air movement, we have the water, and we have the train, which is quite, let me say, existing in the country. The only thing is just that they are not operating at the level that they should be operating. We've heard that we have better time before, especially when it comes to rail and road. But aviation, yeah, more development lately in aviation, but it's still not where we're supposed to be, considering the amount of movement that takes place. Waterways, we have not even thought about it locally that much.
A lot needs to be done in terms of what will make the transportation sector investable. Obviously, there's a lot of work being done on the rail side at the moment, but there's still a lot more that needs to be done. The rail network itself needs improvement. Our internal estimate is that it will cost as much as $40 billion to actually make this as effective as it should be for a country the size of Nigeria, and build new tracks and make it effective for both transportation of goods and people. So this is quite a significant level of investment required. And I think and if you look at waterways as well, there's a lot that needs to be done. If you look at Lagos, for example, ferry transportation is one of the areas that I think you'll expect to see more investments made. The port side has done very well. So the port infrastructure has gone quite well. But in terms of rail, a lot of that needs to be done. And we know that rail is a very profitable investment. And we know that because Warren Buffett, one of some of his most profitable investments have been in buying rail transportation companies in the US. And so it is actually very profitable, especially when it comes to carrying bulk goods. And passenger carriage is less profitable, but actually goods carriage is very important. So if you do that, you take a lot of the heavy goods that we transport on roads today off and put them on the rail, from petroleum products to cements to flour mills, all these things that I think are quite heavy that destroy the roads should actually be on roads. So a lot still needs to be done, in my opinion.
However, some government officials, particularly at the state level, say significant progress has been made.
For years in this country, we keep talking of infrastructural decay. But what most people do not realize is that the gap is being closed. Take road development, for example. The first set of governors of this region and elsewhere in Nigeria build roads. The second generation, which is the current governors, are building roads. Do you think we haven't closed it, But people still continue to repeat the same narrative, that the roads are bad, there's no infrastructure. No, the infrastructure in the region is growing. It's there. The roads are improving.
According to Nigeria's Statistics Office, the country's road system accounts for about 87% of the nation's total transportation activities. According to the Federal Road Maintenance Agency, FEMA, heavyweight cargoes more suited for rail transport are hauled daily on roads which are not designed to accommodate such pressure. As a result of overuse and bad maintenance, the existing road network is in bad condition. To reverse this trend, the federal government commissioned the construction and rehabilitation of several roads across the country, notably the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, the Benin-Ore-Shagamu dual carriageway, and the Abuja-Abaji-Lokoja dual carriageway, among others. Over the years, the Nigerian government, particularly at the federal level, has mostly borne the burden of road construction and maintenance, frequently with middling results, and businesses making use of the system have suffered on the back of poorly maintained infrastructure.
Currently, the transportation infrastructure is in a very, very terrible state. In fact, decay is something that is static, but it's decaying. So even though it's decayed, you still have it getting worse. And that tells very much on your assets. For a transporter, essentially your assets are your vehicles, which you use to work. But when you have a station where there are potholes, there are, you have that terrible degradation in the infrastructure, you find that your maintenance cost continually rises. And you really can't pass that maintenance to the customer, as expected. You would expect that your vehicle will do 2-4 years, thereabout. But because of these challenges, you find that your turnover of vehicles cannot even last that long. In 2 years, your vehicles are in need of change, because at that time, you have challenges with having customers appreciate that asset.
The prayer for every businessman is to make profit, but it depends on how you manage it. The profit is there, but on a very small margin because of the challenges. If vehicles are running without visiting the workshop often, the profit margin will increase. But where the roads are bad, it will drop the profit, because some money that will have been kept as profit will go for maintenance, will go for high-rocketing price of vehicle parts.
Lagos State and the southwest part of the country over the last 4 years has made significant progress in the construction of roads. The government says it is working hard to upgrade road infrastructure, particularly because of the rapid urbanization in the state.
We have focused on road reconstruction and rehabilitation. So we are now working towards a pothole-free road system. We have moved from there, we have now moved into creating links to link community together so that the travel time can be shorter by creating like the Lekki-Ikoyi link bridge, the Okota-Itire link bridge, and then moving into a densely populated area, creating link routes for them like the Ayobo Road, like the Lekki-Ikoyi Etiosa Road, and making sure the ongoing Ikorodu Express Road, so that communities that are far away, highly populated, can have better infrastructure to move them into the city.
Initially characterized by a legacy of inefficiency, overstaffing and cargo theft, Nigerian ports were known for long ship turnaround times. However, government intervention efforts such as the restructuring of the management of the Nigerian Port Authority, the NPA, and the concessioning of the terminals to private investors through a public-private partnership arrangement have yielded positive results. As a result, there has been a significant increase in the volume of goods imported into the country. Similar reforms have also been recorded in the aviation sector, with the rehabilitation of a number of old terminals and the construction of new ones. Perhaps the most significant segment of Nigeria's transport industry is waterways and rail. Inland water transport is said to be advantageous in terms of the cost of moving heavy traffic, especially where speed is less important than cost. According to BGL research, a single 15-barge tow is equivalent to about 225 railroad cars or 870 tractor-trailer trucks.
Frankly, we've not done enough with marine, with marine transport, and I guess there are probably some very good reasons for that. But it's an area I believe we need to focus on, particularly because of the fact that a lot of economic developments are taking place in quite distant places, like in Bras, Bonny, and the rest of it. But I do know that each of the governments have their own plans for improving the riverine transportation among the various areas. I don't think we focus really, but on other things I think we are doing relatively well.
Creating infrastructure creates jobs. So a few years ago at UVA Capital, we raised a bond for the Bayelsa state government, and some of those funds are now being deployed into infrastructure creation. Transportation infrastructure is particularly important. Transportation logistics, so whether it's roads or the airport that's under construction, and you have to be able to get goods from the sea inland, and Bayelsa State is perfectly poised to play that role.
In developed countries, that is the best thing they do. That is to ensure that they use the river transportation effectively. Our own is still at infantile state, if I may say so. It's not well developed. That is why government decided to take the bull by the horn to dredge the lower river Niger and also building river ports along the coastline of the river. We have about 4 river ports. Already we have one that has been commissioned and is in operation as I'm talking to you. So these are some of the infrastructures we need to put along the river to ensure that boats, barges move, and they have ports to stop, to refuel, to do some things before they move on to their final destination.
The Coastal and Inland Shipping Act of 2003 was established to attract traffic into the inland waterways while protecting indigenous investments in inland water transportation in the country. The act restricts the use of foreign vessels in domestic coastal trade to promote the development of indigenous tonnage and establishes cabotage vessel financing fund and other related matters. The Inland Waterways regulator is hopeful that the ongoing reforms will soon begin to revive the sector and also encourage investments in tourism.
Looking at, apart from moving of goods and services, I will also want to see tourism also developed, because we need to develop the tourism sector. The river is a good potential for tourism development. If you go to some developed countries, the tourism sector, especially cruises on the river, it is a very good business. People make a lot of money out of it, and I think this is another area that I think we need to look at. We need to focus also, apart from the transportation of goods and services. We also need to look at the leisure aspect of it, which for me I think is one thing that government should look at and start investing in.
After the break, we'll continue our focus on the transport sector. This time, we'll unpack rail transport and the prospects for public-private financing for the sector. Welcome back to Economic Lifelines Nigeria. We're now turning our focus to the rail segment of Nigeria's transport industry. We'll also explore financing and investment opportunities in that sector. For several decades, Nigeria's rail transport infrastructure has been characterized by inadequate funding, neglect and poor maintenance. The Nigeria Railway Corporation, the NRC, estimates that Nigeria needs between 1.5 billion to 2 billion naira annually to fix the system. In response to this, the federal government on the 21st of December 2012 inaugurated the Nigeria Railway Corporation's Lagos-Kano intercity passenger train services. The revitalized Lagos-Kano intercity train services will complement the existing Lagos-Ilorin and Minna-Kano intercity train services. According to the Nigeria Railway Corporation, the Lagos-Kano route covers a stretch of 1,126 kilometers.
Obviously, there's a lot of work being done on the rail side at the moment, but there's still a lot more that needs to be done. The rail network itself needs improvement. Our internal estimate is that it will cost as much as $40 billion to actually make this as effective as it should be for a country the size of Nigeria, and build new tracks and make it effective for both transportation of goods and people.
Although a lot still needs to be done to make the rail sector more competitive, one man who has decided to take advantage of the existing infrastructure is Edeme Kelikume.
I had a trip, one road trip from Lagos to Abuja, and the number of trucks that were on the road was quite amazing. And on that same trip, there was an accident, which was largely caused by a truck. And a trip that should have taken us about 9 hours by road, we ended up spending about 16 hours by road. And I was made to understand that that was the standard. I mean, you cannot plan, you cannot know when you get to your destination. That set me thinking. I started doing my research, talking to people, finding out, okay, what's the best way to solve this problem or attempt to solve this problem. And I found myself in NRC, okay, asking those key questions. And that's it. That's how we got into real business, and I think it's been a very interesting experience so far.
Although he has experienced some positive changes since he began his journey in the real business, he admits his profit margins could be better if ongoing reforms could gather more momentum.
10 years ago, we knew what the telecom sector was like. We knew what NITEL was like, how powerful NITEL was, and the kind of money they thought they were making then. Today, NCC is unimaginably a wealthier institution than NITEL was at the back then, okay? Why am I saying this? We have to put this in mind when we want to look at the transition we're expecting to happen in NRC or in the rail corridor today. We are hoping that NRC will change from being an operator to being a regulator.
At the state level, the Lagos State government's intervention programs in the rail sector is set to make life a lot easier for commuters in the state.
We have invested heavily on our rail system. Now we have 7 rail corridor plan, and we are currently working on 2. The first one is at an advanced stage. That's the blue line that runs from the west part of the city, of the state, to the east part of the state, spanning the total of about 27 kilometers. That is the Okukumaiko to the Lagos Marina. Now this north-south corridor moves from the other part of the state, another state, Ogun State, right back into the marina, cutting the strait into half. And that is the red line. There is currently a corridor in there, but we are working to upgrade the infrastructure. We are at the point of acquiring the right of way from the federal government. On the east-west corridor, that is the Okukumaiko area, we are now constructing the road using our own budget, our own IGR to push this, and looking forward to investors to take up the rolling stocks.
Funding is no doubt a big challenge for the Nigerian government as it seeks to significantly improve transport infrastructure. Stakeholders believe investment opportunities abound, and opening this sector up to the private sector through an effective public-private partnership is the most suitable approach.
You have to ask yourself, what kind of investors do we need in this space? If you look at the successful PPP projects so far in the country, you will notice something is common among those projects. You have, for the successful ones, you have Nigerian institutions, people who are Nigerian, involved largely in driving those projects. Now, when you have that taking place, you see, like they said before, the change that will happen in Africa can be made to happen only by Africans. That is very fundamental, that is very important. If you bear that in mind, then the whole the whole space about PPP will now be assessed from a different perspective, okay? It will work. It's a matter of getting the right people to be in place, people with the right commitment to drive that change that we're talking about. And for government, I mean, look at the LCC corridor, Lagos-Lekki Ekpe Expressway corridor. Today is a success story, which everybody is referring to in the PPP space. What government needs to do is to put the right structures in place, and they're doing that already by setting up the ICRC and other institutions that will help to put enduring structures in place that will support these PPP projects when they come to stream. Okay, I think that's the key thing: having the right people to be behind these projects, especially Nigerians. Okay, and having the right regulatory environment to support the PPP projects. In South Africa's case, you have a private firm, okay, which is owned by the government, but it's a private firm owned by government that is efficiently delivering rail service and is the biggest in Africa right now. India and China, they are still state-owned, and they are still operating their rail services efficiently. What has happened in our own case is that there's been a long period of neglect in the rail sector, which left a huge gap between the need and what can be delivered. Well, one of the ways that you can quickly overcome this waiting period is to privatize the sector and allow foreign capital, local capital, and experience and competence to come into the space and develop the space rapidly. And NRC possibly transforms into a regulatory commission that ensures standards are kept in the industry and stuff like that.
Stakeholder engagement in making regulatory reforms is a very tedious part of the whole process. I don't know any society where those things have been done overnight. Yeah? So take, for example, we are investing in Second Niger Bridge. This is one of the flagship projects NSI is involved in. We're building a whole, not just a bridge. People think of Second Niger Bridge as just a bridge. No, it's a bridge plus a 27-kilometer road, plus another 10-kilometer approach part of the bridge. So we're talking altogether about 40-kilometer worth of work to be done here. It's a lot of work. Another thing that's been done is actually PPP structure. This is the first federally tendered PPP project in Nigeria. So it's a template for what can be done. A lot has been done there. I mean, we're able to put this together in under 2 years. Whereas in most places, just the preparatory part alone takes 3 years. And if you look at the profitability, rail tends to be the most profitable, followed by obviously waterway transportation, and then followed by road transportation like coaches. But all of these sectors, when they're on the market, people should invest in them. We don't have enough of these things listed in the stock market, so what's your avenue for investing in them? So these are all part of the regulatory reform I expect to see happen. And to get some of these things in the market makes it easier for people to invest.
We don't want to manage a rail. We don't want to run it as a government. We want the private sector to take this over from us, but what we're currently doing is providing the infrastructure so that once the infrastructure is laid, the rolling stock, and we're at an advanced stage with the preferred bidder. And we are also looking at other opportunities for the other rail corridors.
The World Bank estimates that equity investors in public-private partnership projects in sub-Saharan Africa can earn a return of between 12% and 20% annually on a high-risk investment in infrastructure. Analysts believe the growth of Nigerian banks and the capital market suggests that the adoption of the PPP approach to infrastructure finance can be successful. To ensure the success of future PPPs in the sector, the Nigerian Parliament is proposing 3 bills, which include the National Transport Commission Bill of 2014 and the Nigerian Railway Bill of 2014. When these bills are passed, the government believes this will encourage an efficient and vibrant transport sector, which will significantly boost overall economic growth. That's a wrap on this episode of Economic Lifelines Nigeria. Remember, you can catch this and past editions of the show on our website. That's cnbcafrica.com. I'm Esther Ubodaga. Bye for now.